Well, I'd like to welcome everyone to this wonderful event. I'm Dan Abdul. I'm the Vice President and CIO of UCare. I'm also a board member for Genesys Works, and I'm especially proud to be sponsor and CIO of two wonderful Genesys Works interns sitting right over there. So,
and good afternoon. My name is Lynn Purusha. I'm the CIO at Donaldson Company. I am a very proud board member of Genesys Works and a very satisfied client of Genesys Works students for the last 5 years. So thank you. For those of you who know about Genesys Works already and support us, thank you. For those of you who are new to us, Genesys Works is a program dedicated to helping students with great potential. They're just not fortunate enough to have either the backgrounds or the means to be on a typical path for college and career success. So this is where Genesys Works steps in. Our mission is to train them over the summer, provide them with meaningful technology internships during their senior year, and with your generous support, we are actively grooming our next crop of CIOs.
and I'd like to thank our fellow CIO sponsors from various local organizations around here. You should all be really proud of yourself for being part of this community. I also would like to thank our vendor partners. You've been very instrumental to the success of Genesys Works. This includes a number of you, including SAP, IBM, VMware, CDW, ServiceNow, Salesforce, and the list goes on and on. About 20 of the tables here are sponsored today by these vendors, so let's give them a round of applause.
Our coming together today is to serve a very good purpose, right here in our own neighborhoods. The funds we raise at this luncheon will help Genesys Works tear down a significant obstacle facing our low-income youth in the community. It's the ability to get to and from meaningful work opportunities outside of their economically isolated neighborhoods. This year alone, Genesys Works will spend more than $120,000 getting our students to and from their schools to the work opportunities we have in front of them. Without this transportation assistance, many students would never be able to participate in our program. So thank you in advance for all of your contributions, for your continued commitment to Genesys Works, and giving these students a chance to thrive in our community.
So now this is where it gets interesting. I know there are some of you CIOs out there that are not yet part of the Genesys Works movement. And you know, there's one thing I've learned as a CIO, it's not that much different from high school. Peer pressure still works really well. So if you're sitting around one of those CIOs, I highly encourage you to exert as much peer pressure as you can on them. No, on a serious note, I really welcome all of you to join this community. It is really a great thing that we're doing for our community and to, as Marilyn said, groom the future CIOs. Well, with that being said, I would like to introduce the first of our two sponsoring organizations tonight, Accenture, who's represented today by Mike Sevo.
Good afternoon. It appears to me from up here that Jeff and his team have done another excellent job at pulling this event together. This is actually awesome. You know, it was so good for me before we sat down to get to connect with people that I just don't get the opportunity to see as often as I would like, so I really like coming to this event. I am the Accenture sponsor for Genesys Works here in the Twin Cities, and we work together with Genesys Works as part of an initiative that we call Skills to Succeed. Since 2010, in conjunction with our partners, we have equipped over 800,000 individuals with the skills that they need to get a job or to start a business. Our ambition is that by the end of 2020, we're going to take that number to 3 million people around the world. Genesys Works is a key partner for us in achieving that ambition. Now, from my perspective, there are just so many benefits to this program. For our organization, these are really talented kids. They have some great skills, and they do great work. And on top of that, when we ask our employees about their experience with Genesys Works, they talk to us about the joy and the satisfaction that they get in working with these talented kids and mentoring them. From a community standpoint, as was mentioned, Genesys Works is really focusing on unleashing the potential of a group of people that we too often overlook. And for all of us, that is a huge benefit. And probably last and certainly not least, for the students themselves, what an awesome opportunity for them to learn and grow. You know, when I was here last year, I had collected some feedback from our alumni students from Genesys Works. And one particular individual, I shared his story. He had been very successful post his time with Genesys Works, and he was very specific about how important the program was to his growth, which is just awesome. Now this year, we decided to do something a little bit different with our interns, and we gave them an assignment. So Accenture recently released our Technology Vision 2015. In which we identify the trends that we believe are going to have a material impact on businesses over the next 3 to 5 years. And the reason we do that is to really help leaders expand boundaries as they look to really try to compete in this increasingly digital world. So we asked our interns to take our vision and put together a presentation with their feedback. We wanted their input. So they went off and did research, and this week we reviewed the results of that presentation, which they created with their cell phones and PowerPoint, and it was really, really good. And you know, the insights they had and everything around the vision, this is kind of not your typical high school assignment, was really surprising. But the thing that we got the most value, my colleagues and I, in going through this process with them, was the opportunity to watch this talent and potential start to really blossom. It is a sight to see. And for me, that is what's really special about Genesys Works. Now, I think the best way to illustrate that always with this is through stories, the stories of the students themselves. And the Genesys Works team has put together a video that we're going to show now that highlights a couple of their interns that are working at 3M and Optum, two great sponsors of the program. And before I ask them to kick that video off, I just want to take this opportunity on behalf of Accenture and our Skills to Succeed initiative. Thank you all very, very much for your support.
What are we going to do? Break through! What are we going to do? Break through!
I'm from Sierra Leone and I came here July 3rd, 2013. My mom, she gives me all the support and makes sure that I'm like the footstep all of my younger ones could follow.
I told him all the time, I say, you cannot be the president of the United States, but you can be anything else.
That's one of the reasons why she actually made me to join Genesys Works, because she wants me to dress professionally.
When you dress professional, they know that you are something well-focused and something else.
It's not sometimes comfortable, but I know it's the right thing that I'm doing. And even when I go to school, people ask me, why are you dressing up every day? And I always give them this reason because my mom told me to. Most of my friends make fun of me, like, mommy's boy, whatnot. But I know it's the right thing I'm doing. For me, being in school, it's just something that I know I have to do. And it's the only way I could make my mom proud and myself.
I sacrifice for you guys. So you guys, you have the dream of America. Suleiman is following that path. I'm so happy and then I'm so proud of him.
Genesys Works is a life changer. I started off, I was really timid and really shy, and my public speaking wasn't the best, and definitely answering phones wasn't my forte. Hi, this is Niara with That's My Team. But now, oh my goodness, I've learned so much.
Niara, when she first started with Optum, was, as expected, very nervous. But Niara now, I've seen her transform into a professional. You know, I think it's nice to see that growth.
I think after the second week, after we shadowed Steve, he kind of assigned us tickets, and I was so nervous to talk on the phone. Leaving a voicemail, I never thought it'd be that hard, but it was like life or death. And then now, it comes like it's like a second nature now. There's also the CCC meetings, and they also keep me on track too. Your coordinator is like your best friend.
Throughout the year since I started working with her, from August to now, I've seen a boost in confidence. I've seen just a pep in her step, and she's always giggly. So yeah, she's got a lot of confidence and a lot of new skills.
It's definitely taken me from being just a high school student to opening me up to like the real world. I think I'm gonna get a major in business and a minor in psychology, kind of combine the two. But I want to get my doctorate degree in one of the two fields.
Even if you know what you want to do, just get out there and try something different. It might be really scary, but it's always beneficial to you. When I first started at 3M, I thought it was overwhelming. Just talking to people, that's one of the skills that I wasn't good at, but now I could say I'm progressing on that.
Well, anybody that knows him knows that he's smiling all the time. He's a great guy to have around. He's very punctual, very attentive, and just does a great job with whatever we give him.
I'd have to say for his age, he's extremely mature. More mature than some of the college interns that we've had.
Genesys Works, I know it's a place where you can discover your skills, and I didn't know smiling was my thing. For now, I really want to be a physical therapist.
Going through your first job at a corporation in school, especially during your senior year, is pretty tough. Family support, I think, is like a foundation because it starts at home.
My sister is very confident when it comes to things. She's very bold, and she's a great leader. I feel that everyone has a chance where they either get lazy or they get to a point where it's just like, I really don't want to do this anymore. And for Niara, I mean, once you're a senior, it can be really hard to stay in that motivation that like maybe a sophomore or a freshman would have.
Open the same book.
We both go through that kind of thing, but we overcome it, and that's all that matters. So.
I was able to overcome being physically bullied for 8 years, so it's like a bump. If you hit a bump, it only boosts you higher. You don't have to go down. You can choose to take that route and really just go as far as you want to go. And I know that you're gonna go far.
Really far.
Genesys Works' goal is to help students who are at a disadvantage get into the working mainstream, right? And that means getting that experience and also getting that college support. If you're only getting one, then you kind of fall short. You might get a wonderful internship, but you might not know how to get into college to get that job at the end of the day.
For those who are wondering about it, it just balances everything out. It's a great experience. It's more than just a job.
What are we going to do? Breakthrough! What are we going to do? Breakthrough!
Thank you. That's fantastic. It's always something else to see the drive and dreams of young people. My name's Harold Bion. I'm the Vice President of Product Management at Sky High Networks. We are pleased and honored to be a sponsor in supporting the students and mission of Genesys Works. The program really provides just outstanding opportunities for students to learn in conjunction with the support of the organizations that many of you represent here today. And those are really representative of real educational opportunities. And for me personally, and I'm sure for many of you, that's it's a refreshing contrast to a lot of the vendor and market noise and hype that many of you are probably subjected to on a regular basis. I'm not going to talk about Sky High too much other than we are a cloud security company. So if the terms cloud and security or the combination of those two together in any form are relevant to your organization, then hopefully you'll take a moment to look us up. But I did want to take a moment to talk about cloud adoption, cloud computing, and what we see in the market, and in that we see it very relevant to the services in the program that Genesys Works is offering in terms of grooming new IT leadership. We're obviously in the midst of a massive technology transformation. I think that that's an obvious statement. But what's interesting is that the irony of the cloud, while many of us think of it as an ethereal entity that operates somewhere in cyberspace, the reality is that the cloud lives under a roof and is connected by wires. For example, Sky High's own cloud services are hosted in the same data centers with Salesforce.com, Box.com, and ServiceNow. And those data centers require very, very skilled administrators, technicians, DevOps, and architects in order to keep them running. And I think that that is really what is important for Genesys Works in this program going forward in terms of the relevancy you provide in grooming the future leadership. The folks that are in this program today are the people that are going to be connecting us with access to information and knowledge in the years to come. And as you all know, information is the currency that we operate off of today, and it's also the great equalizer when it comes to education. So in many ways for us, this represents a full circle from a technology standpoint. And so on behalf of Sky High, we just wanted to thank the staff of Genesys Works for all the hard work you do. You obviously put on a fantastic event. Congratulations to all the students for your drive and your effort. And for all the organizations that you all represent, thank you for your support for this program. So thank you. It's now my pleasure to introduce today's keynote speaker, Ms. Kalila Mua. Kalila is a senior at Robbinsdale Armstrong High School and works as a Genesys Works intern each day at Optum. I talked with her earlier. She's absolutely effusive and excited about that opportunity. So please join me in welcoming to the stage Kalila Mua.
Good afternoon, everyone. How is everyone doing? Good? All right. All right. So my name is Kalila Mua. I am a senior at Armstrong High School and an intern at Optum. I stand before you, happy and smiling, because of the bright future that lies before me. A future made possible by the sacrifices of my family and the opportunities made possible by many of you here today. I am the first generation of my family that was born as a citizen in America. I would consider myself Hmong American. In fact, this year marks the 40th year that Hmong people have been in America. Most Hmong who came to America were those who helped the American CIA in the operation called the Secret War. During the Vietnam War, they rescued downed American soldiers. Both of my grandpas were soldiers for the late Hmong General Vang Pao and had to risk their lives to cross the Mekong River to flee from persecution. My grandparents successfully crossed the wide and turbulent river and spent time in Thai refugee camps until they came to the United States in the 1980s. My grandparents putting their lives at risk to cross the Mekong River is what made it possible for me to be here today. My breakthrough story is not as scary as my grandparents' experience, of course, but I feel I've also had to cross a river of my own to get to the other side, a barrier rooted in deep cultural beliefs and tied to my identity as a Hmong American woman. I am the oldest in my family and have 4 younger biological sisters. In the Hmong culture, the son, or U Ya, is the beholder of the household. The daughter is the Taekwa, or the guest of the family that is going to go out and get married. As a result, sons are clearly favored over daughters. When I was 11, my parents got divorced. Someone told me it was because my sister and I weren't boys. Actually, a lot of people told me that. Other people expected me not to go as far in life because girls can't be as successful because they are needed in the house. For a long time, I thought they must have been right, but I am here today. All of these cultural practices really impacted me when I was deciding what to do with my life. My dad wanted me to become a doctor. When I told him a couple months ago that I wanted to go into computer science, he said, "That is okay, but can you think about becoming a clinical doctor like your uncle?" Like every Asian parent, right? Don't get me wrong though, we do need great doctors, but we also need great leaders in technology. When I joined Genesys Works training last summer, I was expecting something good, but not this great. I found myself in my place during the summer training. Riding the city bus downtown for 8 weeks was definitely worth it. At the end of training, I found out at draft day in August that I would be working at Optum Corporation in Plymouth. I finally met my supervisor, Brett, lead Vidal, and team members when I started in early September. You guys have no idea how scared I was. I was not scared of meeting them, but scared of how they would perceive me. I was scared that because I was 1, a minority, 2, a woman, and 3, a young high school student, that I was not going to be treated with the same respect as my coworkers. But I was not disappointed like I thought I would be. I was onboarded with care and was treated with the most respect I have ever felt in my life. My team members were so welcoming. They were open to any questions I had, especially my lead, Vidal. I also had many other people be a reminder to me and motivate me to do well in my PSCO classes and to find out my major soon. I realized early in October that IT was for me, but did not believe that I could really choose computer science because of who I was, because it was odd for girls to go into IT, because girls are not technical enough. Fortunately, there are organizations that help girls get into IT, organizations like Genesys Works. I have broken through and crossed a similar river and have made it to the other side. Thanks to the support and guidance I have received from the Genesys Works staff and my coworkers at Optum, this fall, I will attend the College of St. Benedict and major in computer science. I cannot change who I am, but I can change the way I act towards being a young Hmong American woman. I see this as an opportunity to achieve great things and ultimately earn a position in a corporate IT department, maybe even an Optum. What do you think, Mila? As I conclude my remarks, I want to thank some of the people who have played a key role in helping me to become the young woman I am today. Thank you to my whole family for always supporting me and loving me unconditionally. Thank you to my parents who have taught me the hardships of life and love. Thank you to my lovely sisters who could not replace anyone, even if they were boys. Thank you to Genesys Works staff for all you have done to help me succeed on my journey towards college and career success. And a special thank you to Jeff Tollefson for leading Genesys Works Twin Cities for the past 7 years. And thank you to my Optum team members for all their acceptance and appreciation. And now on behalf of all my fellow Genesys Works classmates, I want to thank all the CIOs and corporate partners for believing in young high school students like us and providing life-changing opportunities for us all. I hope to attend the CIO Luncheon again one day, but next time as America's first Hmong American woman CIO. I also want to thank all the sponsors of today's CIO Luncheon for helping change the lives of hundreds of students like me through your generous support. I would not be able to work at Optum if not for the taxi that takes me there each and every day. Through the money raised today, we can make sure the next class of Genesys Works interns can gain access to corporate work opportunities as well. In closing, I want to recognize and celebrate all of my fellow Genesys Works interns, a few of which are here this afternoon. We can all be rightfully proud of all the rivers we have crossed, the goals we have achieved, and the bright futures that now lie before us. We have become someone better than expected, someone who can break down walls when we only thought about going over it or circling around it. Genesys Works class of 2015 is going to have a real impact as the next generation leaders, and I hope we can inspire many more classes to follow in our footsteps. I know this is not the end of our journeys, but the start of new journeys for all. Many thanks, and have a great rest of your day, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, it's always hard to follow our students. Man, Kalila, fantastic. And I have no doubt that you will be a CIO one day. And for any company out here, I'm sure they're going to be knocking on your door when you graduate with that computer science degree 4 years from now. So Mila and your Optum team, you may want to put in a preemptive offer pretty soon. So just, you don't want to lose her. My name is Jeff Tollefson, and for the past 7 years, I've had the privilege and pleasure of serving as the executive director of Genesys Works in the Twin Cities. I took on the challenge of starting the Genesys Works program here 7 years ago with the idea of taking it from startup to sustainability. And with the support and effort of so many of you in this room, we've really achieved this goal. And I now look forward to transitioning out and allowing our organization to benefit from the new insights, perspectives, skill sets, and even relationship networks that can come from new leadership. This is my last event with Genesys Works, as I will be moving on next month. And to say that the last 7 years have been some of the most rewarding of my life would truly be an understatement. I have had the privilege of watching students come into our program timid and unsure and leave brimming with confidence. I have watched students persevere and achieve goals in ways that I never could have imagined. Talk about grit, talk about resilience. I've also had the pleasure of working with some of the most caring and dedicated staff members that I would ever want to work with. It's been just such a joy. But on June 8th, I'm going to finally hand over this leadership baton to an individual that I am so thrilled has agreed to join our organization as of last Monday. She brings a unique background of education and business, starting out as a public school teacher, working at Jostens, at LifeTouch, selling into the education markets, and most recently as a vice president of sales at Pearson Education, focused on career and technical education, curriculum, and products. The reason I'm really excited, though, is her passion for what we do. She gets it. She gets college and career readiness. She's going to bring a lot of great structure and systems to what we do. And so it is my absolute joy and pleasure to introduce the new executive director of Genesys Works Twin Cities, Karen Marbin. Karen, please stand up and wave. You'll all have a chance to get to know Karen a little more later today and in the months and years to come. There's so many people to thank in terms of making this first 7 years so great. And the list is too long, and the time before we go back for dessert and coffee too short to really do justice to that list. But there are some people I want to publicly thank. First of all the CIOs and corporate champions that have made these meaningful internships possible for our students. And there's so many CIOs that have really embraced this mission and taken it to heart and become true partners in this youth development mission. I look around, I see Stuart McCutcheon from Ecolab out there, Mike Matthews, Mike Hedges, amazing the things that you have done. Dan Hernandez, what a champion you've been at Target for us. The list could go on. Dan and Mary Lynn, you know who you are. You make such a difference in our community, and thank you for that. I also want to be able to thank those in the IT and vendor community, three in particular that I want to call out. One of the more colorful characters in the community is Mr. Richard Walker, York Solutions Think IT. Thanks for your advocacy for our students, your support, Richard, and for bringing color to our IT world. Thank you. And he's putting on a great golf event. The other individual isn't here, but most all of you know him in the vendor community because you're probably here because of him, Mr. Craig Pratt of ServiceNow. He has been relentless in getting support around our program, and half of the tables sponsored here were personally sold by him, maybe with a little arm behind your back sometimes, but it's all for a good cause, and Craig has been a great friend and advocate. And finally, my good friend Nick Hernandez. Nick has been, because I think his trusted relationships he has with so many IT leaders in our community, arguably has delivered half of the internships that we have each year through your relationships. Nick, you've been a great friend, great mentor, great supporter. Thank you. The work I feel blessed to have been able to do over the last 7 years has been a lot more fun because of the people I get to work with each day. We have a wonderful staff at Genesys Works, and I'll have a chance to kind of thank all of you in the weeks to come. But two individuals that I really want to call out are our two program directors, Beth Moncrief and Joel Crandall. Beth and I really took a chance on each other when we started the program 7 years ago, and not knowing what the heck we were doing. And Beth, you have become a wonderful leader, and thank you so much for all you have done. And to Joel Crandall, where is Joel sitting? There's Joel. Words can't convey how proud I am of the leader you have become over the last few years. And I think with Karen's guidance and continued leadership, just great things are going to happen. So thank you. Two more brief thank yous. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Rafael Alvarez, who really came up with the business model for Genesys Works in Houston and allowed me to bring the program to life in the Twin Cities. You've been a great inspiration, you've been a trusted partner and a good friend, and I look forward to continuing our work in my new role now as a member of the National Board. So thank you, Rafael. And last but hardly least is my amazing wife, Jenny. She has supported me unconditionally over the last 7 years as I pursued this dream of trying to help students and work with them. And whether it was helping with our first professional clothing drive, Suit Up, helping design our annual reports, really the inspiration of bringing this program together as a CIO Luncheon last year, or simply listening about my Genesys Works day when I come home at night. It's meant the world to me, honey, so thank you for all of that. So with all of those personal thank yous done, we are going to have dessert and coffee to the back whenever you're ready to continue networking. And there's one more thing, but I do want to say before there's one more thing, today's event netted $120,000. So thank you. That you are changing so many lives through those gifts, and for that, we just can't thank you enough for your support of the students and mission of Genesys Works. Okay.
You stay right over here. You stand right there. Don't move. Don't move.
This is important. Don't go anywhere. My name is Nick Hernandez, and I'm one of the co-founders of Verite Consulting Group, and I've had the distinct pleasure to go on multiple visits with Jeff as a outbound active board member, and also as a board member working with Mike Hedges. He and I joined the board around the same time, about 3.5 years ago. And we just decided you can't let a great leader step off into the sunset without saying a few things about him. Because Jeff is a kind of guy who would write his own autobiography and mention everybody else but himself. So we get to extol Jeff and praise him, and it's a blessing, and I'm so privileged to do this. 3 things I'll say about Jeff. Number 1, incredible ability to make connections. If you look around here, to galvanize the vendor community, the CIOs, his staff, and 7 years ago, it was Jeff going out with a tin cup looking for 3 interns, and that was it. And then I think about trust. When I think of Jeff Tollefson, I think about the trust that he had to build when he went in to the first cohort of 13 students and approached Juan Puentes, who at that time was a gang member on the east side of St. Paul, and say to Juan, I don't have an office, we have a business plan, and we want to introduce you to corporate America. And to fast forward to today, Juan Puentes is with Stuart McCutcheon in Ecolab after 5 years and graduating from Hamlin in 4, with Jeff and Jenny Tollefson by his side, by the way. And he's a successful cybersecurity analyst at Ecolab, which is fantastic. And the other thing I want to say, and this is all from the heart, is I'm going to deeply miss Jeff. And I can't think of a more authentic leader. And I know you all feel this way when you meet Jeff, but everybody down to the last person has said, he's charismatic. I can't believe how eloquent he is. So because Mike Hedges shared with me recently a great article by Pope Francis about leadership, in there, Pope Francis says, authentic service is power. And in my book, Jeff Tollefson, you are one of the most powerful people in the world. Thank you for all your fantastic work.
It's like the Masters. Are you good at golf?
I'm going to try it this summer.
Compliments of Hatfields and McCoys, and a little nice touch by Jenny Tollefson.
So this is a new jacket.
The story behind the jacket is Jeff was hoodwinked into believing he had won a jacket. And so he went in to get fitted. It was Craig Pratt, up to his usual boisterous, fun-loving pranks. And Jenny said, in order for Jeff to remember his 7 years at Genesys Works, let's put a special touch in the jacket. And I'm going to have my fellow board member, Mike Hedges, explain that. So, Mike.
Should we put the jacket on him first? Just make sure it still fits.
Let's do it.
After that lunch.
Boy, it does feel like the Masters.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is nice. Looking good.
Do you know, I wasn't supposed to say much. It was all about, Nick, and, he did such a great job there. But what it says in the jacket is actually breaking through, the breaking through ceremony. And why did that get put in the jacket? It's very simple. It's one of Jeff's favorite events. In fact, it's the event that he really, truly loves the most. However, when you look at Jeff's career at Genesys Works, he's done much, much more than that one event. And if you've been to that one event, you'd actually know why he likes it so much. It's really, really cool to do. But if you think about the draft day, this CIO Luncheon, the organization he's built, the things he's done in the CIO community to get us to be a part of something which is truly great, that's his legacy. Not many of us will kind of go away and say we've made a difference. this guy will be able to say he's made a difference in so many children or so many young people's lives. It's absolutely incredible. It truly is incredible. Like Nick, I'm truly proud to know Jeff. And I was trying to think down there at the table, what could I say that's really cool about Jeff? Because everybody's already said it. So I remembered something my mother told me when I was kind of small. And she said, a gentleman is always proper and polite and cares about others. And I think Jeff is truly a gentleman.
We've got one more gift for Jeff Towson. Many of you know that Jeff truly does not know what he's doing next. And he is an undecided freshman, once again. So we decided to go and get from the CIO community, from Mike and me, something that will allow him to identify that next color in his parachute. So he can go to work. Here you go, Jeff.
Thank you. I need that. Thank you all. Thank you.